from the Crypt.
Hello, boys and ghouls. Welcome to episode 76 of Dads from the Crypt. My name is Jason. I'm joined by Jody.
Hello.
And Mondo.
I hate the fucking Eagles, man.
Well, we'll get to it. Hold on. Because tonight we have a very special guest. She goes by Cody Furman, and she runs the blog Cody Loves Horror. Welcome to the show, Cody.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Before Mondo goes off, tell us about your site.
Sure. So I started my blog in 2019, right after my son was born. Horror, ghosts, haunted houses, and anything scary really have been a passion of mine for as long as I can remember. So I figured I should start a website and an Instagram devoted to the things that I love.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And it's largely in the LA area from the looks of it.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, occasionally when I'm traveling, I'll try to seek out destinations, haunted places and film locations, but predominantly here, when I'm traveling, I'm mostly trying to spend time with my family.
Well,
yeah,
I should.
Anytime I do travel somewhere, though, I at least once on Google will type in city names spooky or city names scary things just to find something cool if I have the time.
Yes, same, of course.
Yeah, and of course LA, everyone's filming everywhere, so you never know. You just drive down the street and something may or may not look familiar. Like that fountain at the end of, I think it's Nightmare 4 or 5, I forget which one. Like that fountain looks like I can never figure out where that is because it looks like every other fountain in the LA area.
Is it where they're driving in circles?
No, it's at the very end where I think it's after the Dream Child, and they kind of look into the reflection of the water in the fountain. But there's a lot of those like fountain things, like it's little like one block parks in LA.
Yeah.
It's fun. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I have this book happened to be on my desk completely coincidentally, and it's about the ghost at Hotel Coronado, the famous ghost.
Oh, nice.
And I actually did plan an anniversary trip with my husband around that.
That's cool.
I lied when I said that I don't.
That's cool.
Well, what I didn't realize till I saw someone post on Instagram that the hotel from the original Puppet Master is like 5 minutes away from me in Pasadena.
Oh, really?
Oh, cool.
Have either of you been to the Hotel Biltmore?
No.
Yeah. Oh, wait. I just shot that location, that hotel.
Yeah, we were down. I was taking my wife to see Rammstein in LA, and I hate Rammstein, but she loves Rammstein, so I took her. And actually, I met up with Jason that night, and we got in our hotel. Just decided that they just canceled our booking because they just felt like it. So I had to find a new hotel, and we stayed at the Hotel Biltmore. And I was just walking around. I'm like, this just reminds me of the hotel from The Shining. Like it's just a creepy hotel. And then just the other week, I was reading that it was one of the most haunted hotels in Los Angeles. I was just kind of cool. Because you can kind of feel it. It's just a weird hotel. Like just hallways that just go and then just end and lead to nothing, and like weird spiral staircases. It's a cool hotel though.
Yeah, it's a creepy place. There's so much history in downtown LA and a lot of ghosts, I think.
Have you done like the underground areas in either Portland or Seattle?
I have. I did the underground tour in Seattle.
Oh, it's cool.
Nice.
It was cool.
Yeah, I've done the one in Portland like a long time ago. It was really fun. All right. So Cody, people can go to codyloveshorror.com. Is that the site?
Yes, thank you. And Cody Loves Horror on
Also
Instagram.
Instagram, yeah.
If you're ever in Arizona, I stayed at a hotel called Hotel Monte Vista.
Okay.
I had no idea it was really super haunted. I only stayed there because a band I wanted to see was playing across the street. And I got there and it's a super cool hotel. It's all decked out for Halloween. And the lady at the front desk was like, do you want to upgrade to a haunted room for $100? I'm like, wait, what? Fuck no, I don't. And what's creepy though, that was the first time I had sleep paralysis in the past 6 years is at that hotel.
Nice.
Saying some weird shit going on there. but God, Lord, no, I do not want a haunted room.
Yeah, I don't honestly, after my experience at Coronado, I won't. We have lots more to discuss here. It's not the subject, so I won't even really go into it. But I had several experiences there, and I subsequently did not sleep the entire my anniversary weekend. I couldn't sleep. My husband slept like a baby, and I don't, unless I'm there with a bunch of people investigating, I would not recommend actually staying at a haunted hotel. Sleep's important. So
See, that's the thing. If your husband has sleep apnea, just take him to a haunted mansion. He'll sleep right through it. You won't sleep, but he won't. At least he won't snore.
Yeah, a buddy of mine became friends with one of the guys from Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures down here in Vegas, and they invited me a couple times out like Death Valley to go with them to haunted hotels. I'm like, yeah, no, absolutely not. Like, I'm not. No, I you know, I'm not a religious man, but I've seen some shit. I believe in that stuff. I was like, yeah, nope, you fucking deal with it. Like, not for me.
All right. Well, speaking of being haunted, Mondo, you have 3 minutes to talk about the game, and then
I'm good. Yeah, I told you I'd be good, right? Like I told, it's like I'm not. I refuse to be one of those football fans like punches holes in wall. No, like it's a game. We lost. It happens. The worst officiating I've ever seen though in a game. Like it was bad, but also like I do think it was humorous that by the end we just had a running back in this.
Pretty much, yeah.
And a quarterback that couldn't throw the ball who's going to need surgery on his elbow, probably. So, you know what, dude? Like, the fact that we hung in there as well as we did for not even a quarterback, yeah, I'll take it. Like, you know, whatever. It's more so I just laugh at the fans that are like, that act like they just murdered us. Like, dude, like, you played you basically, we were a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest, and it was what it was. But you know, I'm rooting for the Eagles to win the Super Bowl. So, because my buddy Corey that passed away, he was a huge Eagles fan. I know he'd have been super happy. So it's
nice.
And our good friend Joe Ferry, who is no longer my enemy. Good luck to your team, buddy. But fuck the refs, man. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I was like, they do a bad job. Like, I'm not one of those guys that ever complains about the refs. I was like, dude, at some point, I'm like, this is just laughable. Like,
it's pretty glaring. And even in the other game, it wasn't, the refs weren't great either.
When the commentator's like, yeah, we just don't know what to say anymore. It's you know, it's gotten pretty bad. So that's my football rant. Whatever. It is what it is.
Okay. All right, well then let's move on to our discussion. Tonight we're talking about the season finale of Cabinet of Curiosities, episode 8, The Murmuring. Jody, give us a plot synopsis.
All right, so this is another one that I could describe in 2 sentences if I wanted to, but I'll try to stretch it out a little bit.
Is it nothing fucking happens? Is that
well? Okay, so
worst episode of the series, in my opinion.
Oh,
I'm with you.
Okay, we'll get into it.
All right, so here we go. A couple of ornithologists, aka bird scientists, go to this island out in somewhere in Canada, I think. Anyway, they're on an island to look at birds, and they get to stay in this creepy old mansion. And they've lost a child, so they're dealing with grief. So a couple dealing with grief ends up at a haunted mansion. I know no one has ever heard a plot like that before. It is brand new. That has never been done.
You mean the episode so on the nose that the caretaker is named Mr. Greaves?
Yes, yeah. So it's a meditation about grief and relationships, and couples fight with each other and they have struggles because they have unprocessed grief. And then there's ghosts and stuff like babies crying and weird sounds and birds that perch in houses that shouldn't perch in houses. That was a big deal.
For the record, if you're ever at an isolated house with someone and you hear a baby crying and you know you in fact did not bring a baby, you should leave.
Yeah, just leave. Just get out of here. Yeah, so yeah, that's it. She helps the ghost pass on. We find out that the mother who had lived there in the past, she becomes obsessed with this family. Like, she's there to work. Like, that's her thing. It's her job. She's there to work. But instead, she gets obsessed with the house and its history and the family that used to live there. And we find out that the mother drowned her child. Looked like maybe like a 6-year-old or something, somewhere in that neighborhood. Anyway, drowned her child in the tub. And then the lady who we've been following, she helps them pass on. And then she stands and a whole bunch of birds fly around her. And then she's willing to deal with her grief. So, yay.
And roll credits. out of nowhere. I was like, okay.
I solved grief thanks to Ghost.
Hey, no one will ever have to grieve again.
Yeah, just go to a haunted place and help Ghost pass on. It gets you through it. Do what you got to
Alright.
do.
Yeah, I didn't really get that element either.
All right, Cody, you are our guest, so you get to go first. Tell us, what did you think of this episode?
Okay. So Nancy and Edgar Bradley are our stars. They are all alone on a desolate island, studying the flight patterns of birds. What a time to be alive.
It was the 50s, right? What else are you doing? George
think it was-
McFly's in the tree, with his binoculars.
I
Yeah,
do
and
love they're so into birds, and there's actually the actors show such enthusiasm. I just love when people are just super excited about stuff that I don't understand. Like when I talk about wrestling and Jason and Jody, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I just love the enthusiasm.
Like passion.
Yeah.
For nerdy
Yeah.
subjects.
Yes.
Yeah, they are very passionate about birds, to say the
About
least.
nothing else but about birds.
Yeah. So while I have a lot to say about this episode and how much it intrigued me, beneath the surface, on the surface, I thought it was quite boring. You guys brought up quite a few themes, and I would say that what really resonated with me was just the feminism of it all. So that's
Mhm.
kind of what I want to talk about.
Mhm.
So I think that the opening scene is extremely important in setting the tone for the episode. It's 1951. Nancy is giving a presentation to their benefactors while Edgar is manning the projector. And at the end of her presentation, you see Nancy in the corner all alone, kind of watching Edgar while he's surrounded by men who are patting him on the back. They're congratulating him on their recent findings. He says something like, "It's not me you should be congratulating. Nancy's the mastermind." And they all kind of look at her confused and then turn right back to Edward, like, sure, a woman as the mastermind, right? So I think you can see right off the bat that she is not accepted in the scientific community simply for being a woman. And I think scientists to this day really pride themselves on being these rational creatures. So when you see her later convinced that she's being haunted by ghosts, it's quite the juxtaposition. She's the female scientist in a male-dominated field who is suddenly claiming to see things that she can't explain, which is it's not a good look for her. So they've already labeled her husband as the smart one, and now she's at risk of people thinking that she's crazy too. And that's a big deal in the scientific community.
Mhm.
You have to maintain this air of rationality, otherwise you risk losing respect and credibility. So to illustrate this point, I'd like to go off on a tangent for a moment and bring up something I remember from the latest season of Unsolved Mysteries.
We love
Did you
tangents.
guys see that one, Volume 3?
I haven't watched the whole thing. I watched one episode because it's about Buffalo Jim from Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah, that was crazy.
Well,
He was
I
definitely murdered by the mafia next door.
when I was trained to be a pro wrestler, that was the first person I trained under.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, he had
Wow.
the only wrestling school in town. It was a terrible school. Like if you stood up in the ring, like your head almost hit the ceiling. But he was like the nicest human being, like legit the nicest human being.
Yeah, that I feel that poor guy. It seems like he didn't deserve it.
Yeah, he there's this dumb story, and I'll go off a tangent too. But yeah, well, I couldn't afford to pay him to train. He still let me train because he thought I was passionate. So he's just a nice guy.
Oh, nice.
So shout out to
Oh.
Buffalo Jim.
So yeah, so I guess to illustrate this point about scientists and how rational they have to be, otherwise they lose respect in the community. So the second episode, Volume 3, it's called Something in the Sky, and they cover the massive USO. Let me repeat. They cover the massive UFO sightings in West Michigan in 1994. Do you guys know about that?
A little bit.
Okay, so there were hundreds of sightings. The police ended up phoning an on-call meteorologist for the National Weather Service to see if he could spot anything on his radar. And he's the main person being interviewed throughout this episode. So he's watching these unidentified aircrafts for 3 hours, moving unlike any aircraft he'd ever seen. They were shaped like nothing he'd ever seen flying in the sky, made of material that he'd never seen. And they were traveling over 70,000 miles per hour, which is way faster than any of our aircrafts have the capability of going. He compared it to traveling from New York to LA in 2 minutes. So after all of this happened, the National Weather Service apparently did not want to be associated with the UFO sightings. So he was told to speak to nobody about what he'd seen, and he was just endlessly ridiculed by his colleagues for weeks. And then he was actually told to leave and find a job in a different state so that he would be far enough away from them. So he ended up having to leave his hometown with all of his friends. He grew up there, he went to college there, and it was simply because he saw something that he couldn't explain, and he stood by that. So I thought of him a lot when I was watching Nancy's struggle. And then, so we find out that they lost their daughter towards the end of the episode. And Edgar, well, they're going through something, but it's like unclear what happened.
Yeah, at the beginning, one of his colleagues says something like, "There is no God." Like, it looks at her and goes, "There can't be a God," or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, one of them comes up to the husband and says, "Sorry, I haven't been in contact after what happened."
That's what I mean. Yeah, same part.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
And for most of it, I thought it was going to be a miscarriage.
Oh, yeah.
But I think in the end, it sounded more like a SIDS situation.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, they don't really get into detail, but just mentioned she was lost.
Yeah, I like the whole episode. I was looking at the timing, and I thought that they had a son who died in World War II.
Yeah,
Pretty good guess because of
That makes sense.
But yeah, okay. So anyway, so Edgar mentions towards the end that Nancy hasn't cried since their daughter's passing, and I think that you can see how he might view her seeing ghosts as a way to cope with their loss. So in another episode of Unsolved Mysteries, if I may, volume 2, where they cover the many ghost sightings after the 2011 tsunami in Japan, they interviewed a sociology professor whose specialty is this tsunami, and he believed the ghost sightings were a way for people to cope with the PTSD of the tsunami as a community, because they weren't really in touch with their feelings. And sharing ghost stories were a way to commune in their grief. So I was pretty much thinking about Unsolved Mysteries the entire time I was watching Murmuring. Partly, in fact, you
had to think of something else.
Yeah, it was kind of boring. It was so slow. So slow.
Like, I'll just jump ahead.
Yes.
This was, I think, a beautifully acted, really well shot and directed, boring story.
Yes.
It was really well made, but okay, we were talking about ghosts a minute ago, right? Like haunted hotels and stuff.
Yes.
Like that stuff in real life, really scary. Like if I saw a chair rocking in a room by itself in real life, terrifying. I saw a person floating through the wall, terrifying. In a movie, it's a ghost. It's a ghost in a movie.
Well, I think
it's hard to make a scary ghost movie.
Well, I think it can be done right. Like, look at the Changeling, where they get the most out of the ball bouncing downstairs. Like, I think it can be done, but it has to have the right setup, the right atmosphere. A great example, I thought this. So it reminded me, like, this whole episode reminded me of House of the Devil. Except for House of the Devil, I always felt like this sense of dread. Where here, I never really felt a sense of dread.
Yeah, no, this was a drama with a little bit of spooky on top. Like,
it took too long to get to the ghost stuff.
Yeah.
That whole 20 minutes before it happens, I was like, what is happening here?
Well, and I don't know if this just puts me kind of out of step with where horror is in a lot of places, but I'm kind of done with movies about grief. Like, we went through a period where we were in a national mourning horror movie where all of them were this is about sadness, this is about dealing with trauma, and that's fine. Those are good, those are important, but you just got to kind of earn that. I think it can't just be every movie has we're dealing with trauma here. I don't know. It gets kind of boring after a while.
Well, and then we haven't really talked about this. Was directed by Jennifer Kent, who did the Babadook, which is like one of the originators of that
the
kind
movie
of
about grief. Yeah,
I call it the trauma monster.
Yeah,
movie. Where the monster is like a metaphor for a traumatic event or something like that. And yeah, it's just kind of a like everything. There's a cycle, and you know, in these things in horror, and I think it's probably kind of run its course for this, at least this cycle.
Yeah, this is a late entry into the like trauma horror, and I think most people have probably kind of gotten tired of it or moved on from it.
And then even to drive the point home, it's the same actress from Babadook who's plays the lead in this.
Yeah.
So I mean, at least the son isn't in there.
Oh gosh, that kid.
You know, and again, talking about movie tropes, like it does play out the movie trope too, where it's and I always feel bad when they do this in movies. They do this all the time. It's always when it's the woman seeing the ghost, not the man. They play off like, oh, she's just crazy, and no one ever believes her. And I always I hate that so much because and maybe so I've been married for 20 years. And you guys are all married men too, and you're a married woman. But like, if my wife said I saw a ghost at the end of the bed, I'd be packing our suitcases before like I'd be finish the fucking sentence. We'd stay in the hotel for the weekend. We'll figure this out later. Like.
Yeah,
you say the word ghost, I'm like, I'm fucking out of here. But like, I would believe my wife if she told me these things. I wouldn't tell her she's crazy. I wouldn't tell her like, oh, you're not spending time on your work. No, like I'd be like, oh shit, like tell me what you saw because I am terrified and please save me because I'm probably more scared of ghosts than you are.
and one thing they never addressed in this is like, are they stuck there? Because the guy literally rose them there, and then he says, "I'll see you on Sunday." So they're going to be there for
they don't have a way out.
But when he shows up again, he says, "I brought the things you asked for."
Yeah,
so is there a radio?
No, I think what it was is at the beginning he said, "I'll there's only X amount of stuff here. I'll bring the rest of the stuff you need in a week or something like that." So that's
probably made a list for him before he left.
I kind of feel like it's the 50s. They should at least have they should have radio technology in case there's an emergency.
Well, yeah, well, maybe I don't know. Like this,
they have walkie-talkies.
Again, they're scientists on a budget in the middle of nowhere. Like they didn't. It's not like it is like that technology was very, very, very expensive to have.
Yeah, but this is like an Airbnb essentially in the 50s, and yeah, I feel like I felt like the communication, like I felt like he could have said like, well, we can't. I feel like it would have made it a little more clear if he was like, well, if you want to go, we have to wait until 3 more days or whatever it is. Like just to prove the fact that they're stuck.
I don't know, man. I grew up poor. I had my phone cut off for non-payment a couple times, and I'm talking about a landline. So,
all right, Mondo, what did you think of this episode?
Yeah, I thought like about 20 minutes in, I thought the episode was already an hour and a half long, and why am I still watching this?
Definitely.
Yeah, it was very, very long, and I think Cody said it was boring. It was just a boring episode. None of the scares really landed home for me. I did find it funny when she saw the outline of the child at the end of the bed and she freaked out because the first thing I thought of is like that's probably Jody's night every night. Where a random child is just screaming at the end of his bed.
Sure, why not? Just roll over, make room.
I was just thinking that wouldn't even phase like Jody's family because one of the 7 children just walked into the room randomly.
There's not 7. You're adding an extra child.
6.
Wait, how many? Oh, 6. Wow.
Yeah.
I always say 7 because my old coworker has 7, and then his brother had 8, and he was going to have 8. Then he had a vasectomy instead. So.
I said this is not a competition. Anyone who wants to beat me in this, go ahead, please. I will not try to keep up with you.
Oh, it's too late. My one is grown, and I've already accepted that my grandchild is a golden retriever named Toad, which I'm fine with.
Okay,
she's well behaved. But yeah, overall, I was not a big fan of this. The acting was fantastic, like we said. Direction, cinematography, knocked out of the park. I think it was an odd choice to end the series on this episode just after you had the viewing, which was the most batshit crazy episode of the entire series, and then you have probably the most restrained and subdued after that.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
No, it was, and again, it fell into a lot of the tropes of like you said, Cody, at the beginning with the woman not having respect in her industry, and the minute they showed that, I knew it was directed by a woman before I even looked at the direction because men are not smart enough to do something like that, to be that subtle. But I don't like the tropes where it's like the woman's just not believed and she's the crazy one, and it's just kind of always awkward in that because you're kind of just yelling at the guy through the screen like just fucking believe her, dude, or give her a hug. But I do see this is also I did love though when the scientist the male when he's trying to like seduce her and he's like the mating patterns of the red-tailed squalor does this. I was like but I thought that was the most like that was like what I imagine what two bird scientists.
Let's say
whatever-
that is nerd game right there.
Yeah.
yeah
It's also, I mean, it's pretty on brand.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, but overall, I'm gonna say this is not. I'm like last week we said, hey, whatever you do, like pause the episode and go watch this right now before we talk about it. This episode and be like, yeah, don't watch it because at least 2 or 3 times I looked at the time and that's when I know it's not good. When and it was an hour and 15 minutes.
No, I think it was
Just right over. Yeah.
It felt longer than
yeah.
the extended editions of Lord of the Rings. So
I definitely hear what everyone's saying, and yeah, it's not the best episode, but I don't know. I was kind of enthralled. Essie Davis and Andrew Lincoln I thought gave really good performances. I could watch those bird patterns. Like it was just something very soothing about it. Like my wife is right now really into watching those rug cleaning videos. People like power wash rugs and stuff, and there's something very soothing about that to her. But for some reason, I found the birds very calming, so I was like, I could be kind of down for this. Now, I know what this episode was going to be about, so I was expecting the birds to attack them or something like that. Like,
I would have been into that.
Oh no, yeah, I was at first. I'm like, oh, are we get? I love nature horror. I'm like, are we getting some nature horror, like a long weekend or something like that? And then we didn't get that. So
yeah,
See, that could have saved it for me. If at the end when she walked out, and
yeah,
she's just
those
standing there,
birds
the birds are all flying around her, they just like attacked.
yeah, or like the rain, we're like, you weren't supposed to save them.
or if they all landed on her and she became the bird lady in Home Alone 2.
No, or like the cawing or whatever it is, the crowing from Schitt's Creek. If you haven't seen that.
Speaking of birds, Birdemic 3 just came out.
That's right. Everyone's favorite.
Is that better than this?
Dude, there's 0 chance that like if we all just like pause the podcast right now and decide to make a movie over Zoom, it'd be better than Birdemic or any of the Birdemic movies.
Yeah. This wasn't the best episode to end the season on. I don't think it's the worst of the season because I still felt like I still was invested emotionally in these characters. So like even if you took out the horror stuff, I could have been like into like a drama about grief on these people other than birds.
Let's see.
I should say I did like it better than Dreams in the Witch House.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Oh, I hated that one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
If
Ron
this was
Ron Weasley.
Yeah.
Always gets me. Yeah.
I liked him, but I think because they changed it so much in the source material, and I think the changes weren't for the better, and I think that's why I didn't like it.
I think if I had gone into this expecting just like a drama, I would have been probably okay with it. But I mean, it's mostly just the couple having relationship trouble through 90% of it, right? Like they're just kind of arguing and he makes moves and she's not into it. And then they argue more and they don't talk. And that's a long hour just watching people fight.
At the beginning when he's trying to like seduce her and then they're laying on their backs, he's like, and he has to move and lay on his side to show that he's upset. Like the only thing that needed was him to go,
I was looking on IMDb, just curious what other people thought about this. And some people absolutely love this, like 10 out of 10, best of the series, that kind of stuff. And so I looked back at some of their other ratings. Because I was curious, like what kind of person loves this?
Because I have to see, like,
yeah, I was just curious though. I think this is an episode that non-horror people are gonna like better than horror people.
Okay, interesting.
I can see that.
The viewing, like if you give that to your like normie coworker, they're going to come back with questions about you.
That is a good point. So you're either a murmuring person or you're a viewing person.
And I'm a viewing person. I like the head explosions. Like that's what I'm here for.
That was actually my least favorite episode.
Oof.
I didn't like it. I thought that one was kind of slow.
It was okay.
But
So that's the thing. They were both slow, but I felt like that one was building towards something more than this one was.
Like on paper, less happens in the viewing, but I do felt like my enjoyment was such that it moved much quicker than this one. So it felt like it was much shorter. But to each his own.
Yeah.
You make a good point though, because this episode was definitely more of a like the soap opera, the drama with the horror elements. The horror elements kind of just move the story forward as opposed to being a true like genre film or
Like my mom would
genre.
probably like this one.
Yeah.
Like my mom would probably really enjoy this one. It'd be a cool story, a little bit of spooky in there. Yeah, good stuff.
Well, I could
But-
see this on Days of Our Lives. They could.
Well, again, it's interesting because if you're doing an anthology, like there isn't a natural climax or like anything to how you sequence
Mhm.
the episodes technically, but you still have to choose to make a conscious decision on which unless you're like rolling dice or something, or like pulling straws. So I'm curious what if there was any thought on like how you end it on this.
Mhm.
Like Jennifer Kent is obviously a very talented director.
Oh,
so
without question.
Yeah. One of the
I don't
bigger
know.
names in this. I would
Yeah,
say.
so maybe they gave her the last episode because of a bigger name, but like obviously they don't make these in order or whatever
Well,
it is.
And also, let's be honest, like, if anybody loves a good ghost story, it's Guillermo del Toro.
Oh yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, so he wrote a short story that this was based on, and then Jennifer Kent wrote the teleplay.
And I also wonder too if I didn't watch it in the middle of the NFC Championship game after I was already angry, if I would have liked it more. I don't know.
Probably not.
See, but when Guillermo del Toro makes a ghost type story, he makes Crimson Peak, which is just wild and crazy. And this is not.
Well, it's
I
funny.
just needed something.
Because Crimson Peak wasn't even a super big horror movie.
Right.
It was more a drama driven by the ghost story, but they had to call it a horror movie because when that dude gets shanked in the eyeball, like that was pretty gruesome.
It's got Mia Goth in it, so it's got to be horror.
Did it have Mia Goth?
Was she?
Isn't that the one with Tom Hiddleston and Jessica Chastain? Am I thinking of something else?
No, that's the one you're thinking of.
Yeah.
I didn't have Mia Goth in it.
I'm almost
Okay, I
certain
gotta
it's
look
Mia
this up
Goth.
now. It's been a while since I've seen it.
I took my daughter to go see it in the theater. That's my news. She's my movie buddy because she loved it. Then we saw The Witch and she loved The Witch. I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. So, Cody, what was your favorite episode of the series so far? If they are, I don't know if they're going to do a season 2 or not, but of this grouping.
I think my favorite episode was Pickman's model.
Nice.
That was great. I love that one.
Yeah, not just because I'm a big fan of the Narnia books, and Ben Barnes was Prince Caspian, which I loved. I just thought that was a great episode. I loved it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm kind of torn between. I love the autopsy. Actually, I really liked Witch Dreams in the Witch House and I love the viewing. I'm kind of torn between those three.
Yeah, I think
they're so vastly different.
I'm for sure the viewing, but number 2 for me is Pickman's model for sure. I love Pickman's model.
Yeah,
I like Pickman's model a lot. But,
it was dark. It was really dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, overall, like I like just about everything in this season to one degree or another, with a couple exceptions. But I think, I mean, the viewing is my top. The autopsy is real close up there. I like that one a lot. And I like the rat one. I know that hasn't been like a...
That was good.
Yeah, but something about the claustrophobia crawling through all those tunnels with the giant rat monster, and that's good stuff.
Did you guys watch the new VHS?
Yeah.
I haven't yet.
Okay, never mind.
I turned it off.
Oh, it's not good. It is
Yeah,
not.
I just turned it off. I was like, life's too short.
Yeah, no, it was I liked the last segment because it's just wacky with people going through hell.
Yeah, that was cool.
I just think it's fun when I see any director's interpretation of hell. But the second one is about someone having to spend the night in a casket, and it's so claustrophobic. And Jody, if you watch it, you'll know why that to me, like I almost had to turn it off because a spider shows up, then a bunch of spiders show up, and they're real fucking spiders. The fucking actors stay in a coffin with real spiders, and I almost like, dude, that literally was like, I'm not gonna say it was the best thing I've seen this year in horror, but it was the only thing that I almost had to turn off. I was so fucking scared.
Yeah, I mean the claustrophobia stuff in movies gets to me. Like that's why the rat one,
the descent
like
always
that.
like
the descent. The being in the cave is scarier than the monsters.
Dude, I'm
like
reading
when she gets stuck in there, like wedged in. That was way more terrifying than the like monster people, white guys.
I'm reading The Deep right now, and I'm about
Yes.
80% of the way through it. But the claustrophobia in that is like what gets to me. Like when they describe like crawling through these tunnels, I'm like, yeah.
Yep.
Just let me skip a few pages ahead.
And while we're talking about like episodes like Pikmin's Mall, I just want to plug that we have the interview with Keith Thomas, who directed that episode, and just a couple of tidbits I pulled out of that from our conversation. So we were kind of making fun of Crispin Glover's accent a little bit, how like generic and off the wall, like AI generated it felt, and he confirmed that was 100% intentional, just to make him like more confusing and obtuse,
Okay.
otherworldly. So they kind of like chose a ton of different accents. They kind of smashed them together just to mess with the audience.
I figured that's just what came out of Crispin Glover's mouth when he said make an accent. He's just like, okay.
Well, so I have a question about this episode too. Do you think if this episode was kind of maybe planted like in the middle of the season, if you guys would have maybe reacted to it better?
I definitely think so. I think it's kind of a little too. I think if the viewing was last, because that was going to be a banger anyways. Like it's like if you're making a mixtape, you want to put a really solid song to end the mixtape to really go out with a bang.
How old are you, Jason?
If you're burning a CD, or if you're taking that boombox and putting two tapes and recording one to the other,
And
or
I've
if you
done
even have
every single one of these things.
or you have two tape recorders and press one to record while the other one's playing so it hears it.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're waiting for that song to come on the radio and you
Catch
put
it on the radio, waiting for the top 10, knowing it's going to be up in one of them. Yeah,
like that. The other thing that Keith Thomas told me was he came up with the idea for the very ending of Pikmin's Model, when the kitchen sing, and he like the producers were like, no, you can't do that. You can't put, for those who haven't seen it, spoiler, but you can't put a child's head in the oven.
Yeah, it's heavy. It's heavy.
He said, no, trust me. And so he like storyboarded the whole thing to show them that like he's just gonna show like the outline and the way he's gonna do it. And they're like, oh, okay. But then they sent that off to like the prop makers, and they actually made like a prop of a child's head to put in the oven. And like he's like, you don't have to make it detailed, but that's what they do. So you don't see it on film, but on person, they got to see this child's head in a casserole dish.
I feel like the effects department in a movie is like IT in an office.
Yeah.
Where it's like we tell them like you can't do something. It's like yeah we can. We can definitely do this.
Yeah, I don't deal well with things that have to do with kids and animals, especially now that I'm a parent. But I don't know. I mean, it was a lot at the end of that episode, but I still loved it. I still thought it
was very tastefully done. It was the right way to do that, to handle something. And it just goes to show that you can handle taboo or disturbing subjects if you do it the right way. Like in Barbarian, which handles a lot about sexual assault, but does it in a way that like doesn't show too much. That like you get the idea of what's happening, but without like traumatizing the audience, but making them like live through it. So that to me is really good filmmaking.
Well, and in Barbarian, I mean, the way they made Justin's Long character is such a fucking rat.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I hate, and I think maybe you guys might have the same thing. Like, fuck, I know a guy that talks like that and acts like that. I wonder what the fuck that person has done.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, probably it's not a great look for me, but I actually, until the end, thought that maybe he was innocent.
Yeah.
And then you see that he's such a piece of, you know what, that
You can say it.
I don't know if I can.
Yeah, you can curse.
Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah.
Okay, so you see that he's such a piece of shit that it's like, yeah, he did it. What was I thinking? Why did I think he was innocent this whole time?
I'm actually kind of with you on that, because the end, I was kind of hoping like, oh my God, he's going to try to save this woman. And he's even thinking like, when he says like, maybe I did come on too strong. I was like, so maybe he like just is realizing he was not in the right. And then it was, oh wait, no, this guy just sucks at life. And yeah.
Well, again, that's why you cast Justin Long, because he's just like, there's something just kind of cuddly about that guy. It's like kind of adorable way. You just want him to, but
what, Jason? Like, can we expound upon this?
he just seems like a likable guy in real life.
If Justin Long's ever missing and Jason's got him in the basement feeding him with a hairy baby bottle.
With like beard hair hanging out. But come on, he got
Jason just hides a bottle in his beard. It's like,
come on, he got me Adele.
No.
He was the Mac guy.
He was the Mac.
Who was the Dell guy?
And PC.
He was the Dell guy. Is the guy that got arrested like in the airport for trying to smuggle cocaine.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
Justin Long?
No. The Dell guy. The dude, you're getting a Dell.
Oh shit! I always thought it was the other way around. Okay.
There's anyone under the age like 33 right now. It's like,
they're all scratching their heads like, what the fuck?
What is this?
Someone dragged me to hell. That was kind of the joke because when you first see Justin Long, he's got his Mac, he's got his iPhone, he's got his little iPhone dock.
Okay.
Because he was the Mac guy.
Okay, it's coming back to me.
Also, so if everyone remembers those old Mac versus PC commercials, when I was getting shit faced with Doug Bradley at the Palace Station out here, we drew on napkins little storyboards because he's a huge Apple geek and he found out I worked for Apple and he was just geeking out. And he goes, "Right, Doug, we got to get you in an Apple commercial." So we had the idea of the PC guy. I'm a PC, and the hooks would come and tear all of his flesh off, and the pin would walk out and be like, "I'm a Mac," and he'd be like, and the hooks would be coming out of the back of the Mac. I don't think that Apple would have gone for that, but
probably
I'm just wondering what's on Pinhead's iPod.
He's got electric taste. He likes rock and roll.
Yeah. All right.
Definitely.
He'll be a Days of the Dead. I'm gonna ask him if he remembers that time I drove into the Palace Station in my truck that was making all kinds of weird noises, and then we got shit faced on Bass Ale.
Nice. All right, let's move on to our episode rating. We do 0 to 5, 5 being the highest, 0 being the lowest. We do half points. Cody, what do you rate this episode?
I would out of the whole series.
Just your personal rating, whatever.
Yeah, 1 through 5. Like you would for
1 to 5, 5 being like best thing you've ever seen, 0 being you wouldn't make your worst enemy watch it.
I would maybe say a 2.
All right, Mondo.
Yep, I'm also at a solid 2 because I think I gave Dreams in the Witch House a 2 as well, and it's just splitting hairs which one I liked less.
Mm-hmm. Jody.
Yeah, I'm going with a 2 on this one too. It's not unwatchable. It's just not something I wanted to watch.
All right. I'm gonna go a smidge higher, 2.5, just for the birds. They're just
are you interviewing the director?
No. No.
Jennifer Kent's not getting back to him.
No.
and you know, more power to her. Like I wouldn't get back to us. There are times on Sundays I'm like, I'm just pretend I'm unavailable. I'm just kidding.
All right, let's move right on to our song of the day. Mondo, what song would you choose for our podcast?
Dude, see, you know I'm always going. So I was trying to find some song that was like "fuck the Eagles" or "fuck the referees," and that's few and far between. So I actually
wait. Is that why you don't like this episode? Because of the bird connection?
What? No, because no, absolutely not.
No, I'm kidding.
That's ridiculous.
Eagles,
that'd be ridiculous.
Birds,
Eagles are birds. They are.
Eagles are birds, I guess, right? No, but Eagles are majestic as fuck. Unlike the football team, who had the oh, by the way, real fast, also the most trash fans in the fucking NFL. I said
worse than the Cowboys.
I think so, only because one of our players walked the field hurt and the crowd cheered and then started throwing stuff at him. So yeah, that's pretty fucked up. Just anyhow, I want to pick a song that makes me happy because it has the word Eagles in it. So I was going to go with Iron Maiden's Where Eagles Dare, but it's too easy because I try to be a little bit underground. And I'm going to go with a musician named Ihsahn, Ihsahn, was the frontman of Emperor for their entire existence. And then after the band broke up, for all the right reasons, they broke up for the right reasons. They just figured they did everything they could do with the band. And was like, that's going to be kind of it. And they were kind of the avant-garde of the early Norwegian black metal scene, where they had all the great synths and just saw them play at Psychofest for a reunion, and they fucking killed it. God, they were good. But his solo stuff is more progressive. He's integrates like really like saxophones and a lot of string instruments and some horns. So I want to go with the song off his album Eremidia, which I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it actually the word means a hermit or hermetic. So I thought it kind of fit well with the fact that they're kind of like hermits living on this island at this point with just the birds. You can kind of say this episode is for the birds, but so I'll go with the song of Aramidia by the artist Isan, and the song is called "The Eagle and the Snake." The snake being the fucking referees in this goddamn 49er game.
All right, Jody, do you have some horror news for us?
Yeah, I got a little bit. There is a remake slash prequel sounding Children of the Corn movie that is coming to Shudder sometime soon.
It's about Jonathan Davis's son. Never mind. I got okay, sorry.
Right. Coming in March 21st. Apparently it's going to hit theaters for a little bit too. But I'm down for a remake of this story, or like it. I have to think this is when all the kids decide to kill all the adults in the village. So, that's probably the best scene of the original movie is when they take out all the grown-ups at the diner. And the original, if we're completely honest, it's not a great movie, right?
Yeah.
Like I like the little goblin guy
for its 80s charm, but
it's a fun movie. It's not a great movie.
It's fine. Jason and Jody don't like anything. It's fine.
No. I will watch this movie. I like the Outlander and all that kind of stuff, and I like that little kid who. What's the main guy's name?
Malachi.
Malachi. Yeah, that little kid is like a little goblin. He's great. But he is.
Come on, it's like the second best Linda Hamilton movie, third best Linda Hamilton movie.
It's if you watch it now, the special effects are super, super dated. Like the He Who Walks Among the Rows looks like static from a TV with like a red outline around it, like taking people off of crosses and stuff. I'm okay with the remake, is what I'm saying. I'm down to see more of this. I don't think they can go any further into the sequel territory, because that's already gotten real ridiculous without doing like Corn on the Moon or something at this point. So
how do they not do? Yeah, I was supposed to say, how they do Children of the Corn on the Cob?
I know they do one where they go into the city too. That's like part 3 or 4. It's one of those series that has way more entries than you realize.
Oh man, they could totally do with like this someone just having like a little farm in their backyard.
Like a eco urban forest, or
a couple rows of corn.
I'm trying to figure out how many movies are in this series. It's
a lot.
It's one of those. It's way, way more than you think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 movies in the Children of the Corn series.
Well, Alan Gill did one of them too, like one of the sequels.
Oh yeah, they did the second one. So before things got really absurd, Fields of Terror, Isaac's Return in 1999, Urban Harvest. So there's your.
Should we just make this segment where Jody reads the subtitles of like ridiculous sequels? What's the Howling one?
Yeah. Our friend Alyssa has a podcast now, and she was asking me what episode I wanted to be on, and so I chose either The Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf, or The Howling 3, The Marsupials. Which I don't even.
Marsupials howl? I can't believe those are real.
We're getting like Amityville territory, that kind of stuff. Like they'll do Amityville, like the Amityville shot glass. Take a shot from this. You're possessed by the devil.
Yeah.
I want to see children of the frozen corn in aisle 3 at Kroger.
All right. More horror news. The Last of Us has officially got a season 2 already ordered by HBO, which it was no surprise.
Have any of you been watching it
right here? I haven't watched it.
I want to watch the 3rd episode tonight. I think it's really good.
Yeah,
I watched the first one.
Nothing but good things out of this.
I watched the first episode, and the first half of the first episode is like the before times, like leading up to the event, and then the second half was like the now or whatever, the present. And I like the first half a little better. The second one just kind of started giving me Walking Dead vibes.
I mean,
we're
zombie-ish type stories.
We're gonna ignore Jason here.
I know. Cody, I'm still gonna watch the second one, and
Jason, we're gonna talk to people who actually care about horror. Cody, did you play the video game?
No, I don't play. I don't play video games.
I'm just wondering. I was just wondering because I played the video game, but I forgot enough of it to where I'm like, and what's really cool though is they took some liberties with it, and they discussed it after episode 2 how like in the video game, just breathing in the spores would give you the would turn you into like one of these beans. Whereas like I love it because the producer, the director's like, yeah, we can't do that because that's not really realistic because spores are everywhere. Like everyone be infected like a day. So they did where you have to get cut or bit or scratched. But I am really, really enjoying. I just finished episode 2 last night. I really enjoyed it so far. Stoked for episode 3.
Yeah, I'm excited to jump into it. It always takes me a little while to catch up on series when they start coming out because it's just a commitment to get into a series, you know.
Yeah.
And so, like, I still haven't watched Yellow Jackets, and I really want
Same
to,
here.
but I just
my
haven't
God.
because I haven't done it. No reason, no good reason at all.
And the one thing I'll say too about the Last of Us video game, because again, I'm an old school video game fan, and nowadays I have no time, so I just got Dead Space, the reissue.
That's actually what I was about to talk about next.
I played it today, and I started on medium, and it was too scary. I was getting beat up too bad. I put that shit on story mode, so I kill all the enemies with one hit. I'm like, yeah, this is my game. I want the story, and I'm like that. I was like that with Last of Us, where I played in easy mode because I just wanted this story. I didn't want to get like, to me, I don't get the fun that a lot of people do of having to strategize or boss fight. No, I just want them. Just let me kill the boss and see what happens next.
Yeah, totally fair. And that was actually my last piece of horror news. Is if you haven't already heard the Dead Space, what do you call it? Remake, remastering?
I say remastered.
It was remake, yeah.
Yeah. It just came out, and from everything that I've heard from everywhere, like this took a good game and made it into a masterpiece with this remastering. So I'm very excited to pick it up. I played the original back in the day, but I'm excited to play this new version.
I don't know what it is, but horror video games I have a lot of trouble with. Like
I do too.
And I mean that, and like somehow they're the most scary medium to me because like I'm just like walking minding my own business. I'm gonna get this treasure chest, and I have 2 things with fucking claws attacking me, and I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah,
and I die, and I put on.
Yeah, no, I definitely get more freaked out playing a horror game than I do watching a horror movie. A lot of times, there's something about having a little bit of control over it. I think.
Yeah, you have
makes
some agency.
Yeah, because I'm putting myself into the situations. Like when I end up against something, it's because I walked in the wrong friggin' door.
Right,
it's my fault.
Have you played Outlast? The Outlast games?
I hadn't played much Outlast. Have you played Alien Isolation?
Alien Isolation pissed me off to no end because I didn't realize it listened to your microphone.
Oh.
And I'm hiding from this thing, and I made a noise, and then the alien's there because I heard the noise. I'm like, what the fuck? Why? Outlast is one of the most terrifying games I've ever played in my life. It's funny because when it came out, I got like halfway through it, and then my daughter deleted my save. So her punishment was she had to get at the same point I was at. So she's in the other room playing the game. She's been playing fucking an hour, and she's like, I hear these and I hear a blood curdling scream come to the room. I was like, the guy in the wheelchair? She goes, yes. I said, because those games are like, holy shit, like they and those games you can't fight. It's run, hide, or die.
Yeah,
you have to run and hide from things, and it's terrifying.
I did discover a piece of news. I don't know if this is horror or not, but my wife had never seen Twister before. So we watched that last night, and then, I did do my, IMDb searching, whatever. So I like to read all the trivia. And I guess there's a Twister sequel being made.
Really?
So
is it based off the movie Waiting?
I don't know.
Never mind. It's a stupid joke. Jody, I think Jody kind of got the joke.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But
that's a hard sequel to follow. Twister is I love that movie.
I love it.
So good.
The older I get, the more ridiculous it seems, but I still love it.
It's a fun movie, and when it came out,
it's so much fun.
95, 96, it was like you just want to see shit flying at the screen. Like and also Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton are fantastic in it. So
well, there's so many like great 90s character actors. And just there's some the dialogue is so hacky. You know how they keep talking about how corporate those guys are. There's just so many things, and it's just so over the top, so over ridiculous. But then like the fact they used a real house on the crane for the scene where they drive through it, it's the kind of movie that would never could be made that way again. So I'm really curious what a sequel would be like. But
I think that's one of the beautiful things in movies that we grew up watching is like when they had to be creative with these special effects, it really shines through as opposed to when it's just blatant CGI. And not that CGI is bad, it's there's good and bad CGI, let's be honest.
Just like
but back then, that creativity, even when it wasn't great, I think I still appreciated it because of the creativity.
Well, in the CGI that they do use in this, a lot of it doesn't hold up perfectly, but it holds up enough.
Yeah.
Because the soundtrack, the sound design is so good, and the cinematography is so well done that like they still seem menacing, even though they look fake as hell. So, but supposedly there is an active development on the sequel. So who the hell knows?
Yeah.
Too twisted. Too many
fast and
twisters.
twisted. Oh Lord, I hope not.
Oh god. All right, Mondo, you put out a call for some questions. What did we get?
I did. So this is from Melanie _Saint George. It's a question we get asked quite often and always a valid question. And I promise you we'll answer it when we're done going through the whole series. And it is, what is your absolute favorite Tales from the Crypt episode? And I bet you right now, we probably all know our favorites. And they're probably not going to change, but we will answer this question, I promise, when we're done with all the
I mean, I still feel like we can say like our favorite so far.
Cutting cards for
Maybe.
me.
Cutting cards?
Yeah.
Like I my go-to is still yellow.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a coin flip. I knew you were gonna pick yellow, so I was like, I gotta pick something different.
Well, that's my go-to answer, because we do see this a lot.
Mine is I think A Death of Some Salesman.
Yeah,
awesome.
These are all valid answers. Cody, do you have a favorite Tales episode?
I'll pass on that question.
Okay.
And fair enough. The only reason I know the episode names is because we're doing them.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And we revisited.
If we weren't doing them again, I'd be like, the guy with the cut off fingers and playing poker.
Yeah.
All right. And then from our good friend Kiara Steen. That's Steen.
Oh, God. Okay. It's Kara Stein. Son of a bitch.
It's Jason's wife. Is Jason still broken from the Twin Towers thing?
Can you elaborate what that is for those that might not know?
What's that?
Why don't you elaborate on that, Mondo, for those?
I'm not going to elaborate on. People want to know what this is about. They can go to our Instagram feed and watch the clip,
or our YouTube channel.
Yes, whatever. One of those two. Some social media thing. It's because I mispronounced the name of a band and Jason won't let it go. It's fine.
I won't let it. It's not that I won't let it go. You made me like laugh so hard I had to leave.
There have been a few times in the history of this show that Jason has just gone into silent laughter because of something that's happened.
Jody, have watched clip. This time Jason didn't go to silent laughter. He just got up and left.
Yeah, I've seen the clip. Yeah, I watched.
He's got him walked away. And then from Bodhisattva's one, he says, "Huh." So Jason, huh?
Yeah. Back.
Yeah. Okay, that was our. So all seven. So there are 72 of you that saw this post and did not ask a question. I'm disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm mad, but I am disappointed.
That's a good dad answer.
Jody, give them a dad look right now for me.
I don't really know how to do this.
No, that was
be
more
in the
like,
moment.
That was more of like, I don't trust you did your homework. Give me more of the look that like, I know you're lying to me.
It's a little hard to do this outside of the moment. You have to have the passion.
Yeah, Jody's not really
passion of knowing your kids are lying to you.
Okay, you come home from the grocery store. You come home and your kids.
This is an audio medium, you know.
Your kids say, yeah, but well, dude, if people want to see this, they can jump on the YouTube channel. We'll get one more view. If they don't, this is terrible radio. They don't.
It's terrible radio.
Okay, but you come home from your office job. You don't have an office job.
I don't have an office job.
Your child is sitting on the couch and you know some shit just happened, and they won't tell you. But you come in, they'll have that look on their face. That's the one. All right, we got it.
Okay. I did put the call on Twitter. We only got one response from John Carr. He said, I've always been curious if any Crypt episodes was shot to replicate the panels from the original comic issues that they were adapted from. Do you know if any of the episodes directors had the chance for that level of accuracy?
I mean, some scenes definitely did that.
Yeah, I can't think of anything directly off the top of my head, but yeah, I do think there definitely have been times where they intentionally
one that I remember, what is it, Fitting Punishment, where the guy gets his legs cut off. There's a shot of like the stumps with like you can see the victim on the other side, and you can like see where the legs are cut off. That's a direct pull from the comic. And I don't know that anyone did like a full episode that was like scene by scene, but some directors definitely pulled like a key panel out.
Yeah, I think that'd be impossible. I think it was the movie, the 1972 movie, where the guy basically gets in the car accident. He's walking around as a zombie. There's a lot, I think, panel for panel shots in that one too.
Mm-hmm.
Not part of the TV series, obviously, but from that 72 film.
There you go. All right, and then to round things out, we're gonna do some parenting advice. And Cody, this is your time to shine. You said you got something for me.
I do.
Yes.
Okay, here's my advice. Do yourself a favor, plan a movie night or a few movie nights and watch the Zombies movies with your kids on Disney Plus.
Ooh.
I was so pleasantly surprised by how good these movies are. I'm the biggest fan. So the music is so catchy. It's a musical, well, 3 musicals. And it's so catchy that I actually listen to the music without my kids.
That's awesome. That's a sign of a good like kid show.
Honestly, it is. They are so good, all 3 movies. I also think it's a pretty great opportunity to talk to your kids.
Oh no, we lost you.
And I just think, sorry, what?
You glitched for a minute. Keep going.
You started with as a good chance to talk to your kids, and we're super excited, and then it just cut out.
Okay. So besides just being all around great movies, I think it is a pretty great opportunity to talk to your kids about discrimination. And if you should be, in my opinion, if you should be doing anything as a parent, it should be teaching your child to be a good person.
Yes.
So if you can do that through this fantastic movie series that is horror adjacent, I think it's great. You guys should watch them with your kids.
Yeah, I've definitely scrolled
and I think it's
past,
great for any age kids.
Yeah, I definitely scrolled past them on Netflix. I think my daughter would like it. I think it'd be too scary for my son because he's got to think about.
Well,
he's
your
going through a
son
zombie
does not
phase.
like zombies.
Yeah, he's not like zombies.
You guys,
but
it's not scary at all. I swear it's not.
Jason, maybe this will actually be good for him to see zombies in a different light.
maybe I think he's been a little bit better over the last couple of weeks, so maybe give it some time.
I've said this before, but I hate whenever you hear like, especially old politicians say, "I'm hate to see what this new generation is going to do." I don't, because I think like we have all these kids that we're raising who have love in their hearts and want to accept everybody. I think it's going to be awesome when when we realize that like, oh, it's just the old people that are intolerant, all the young people are just accepting of everybody. It's actually going to be a fucking beautiful thing, and it just of course terrifies old set their way politicians.
Cody, have you guys watched the Wednesday Addams show?
Yeah, I watched that with my husband. I thought it was good. I liked it a lot. It reminded me of Harry Potter a bit.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of teen melodramas, so I'm happy that it was only a little bit of that, because I would have had to turn it right off.
Yeah, I watched it with my daughter, and she was saying the other day she wants to have a Wednesday themed birthday party. Her birthday's not till July, so she's already planning.
Have you seen the meme where it's Bruce Campbell cutting his hand off in Evil Dead 2, and then that becomes Thing?
Yeah.
That'd be cool. And I sent Jody. There's someone her business is called the Grim Wreath, and she does just amazing horror wreaths for whatever style you want, whatever. I mean, she charges like $250 for these, but they are like worth every penny. And she's doing a Wednesday Addams like Valentine's Day, like make Valentine's Day cards for your friends event in Knoxville, Tennessee. That's in the Jody, because Knoxville's like what, hour and a half, couple hours,
hour and a half, hour and a half or so.
I love that you brought up movie nights, because that's like one of my family's favorite traditions. And I'm a big Marvel geek. I mean, I used to love those movies. So I've been trying to get my kids to watch them. I'm not going to show them all of them, because some of them I just know they're not going to like. But we're watching the Ant-Man movies. So we watched Ant-Man 2 last night, and spoilers for movies that have been out for a couple years now. But they haven't seen the Avengers Infinity War movie. so they don't know about Thanos and the snap and all that stuff. So when we watched Ant-Man 2 at the very like the stinger after the credits where everyone turns into dust, they don't know what the fuck happened. So they're like freaking out about it.
I've never seen those, but I know about Thanos. All I wish is when he snapped, instead of killing 50% of the population, it just got rid of all the people that clap when airplanes land. Those people have to go. I'm sorry.
But movie nights are one of my favorite things to do with kids, just in general. Like we do family movie nights, like with everybody. A lot of times after the little ones have gone to bed, my wife goes to bed early. I call it the Midnighters Club because it's like 10 o'clock till midnight or so. And I watch some scary movies with the kids who are into it and old enough to do that kind of thing. So like we watch the Child's Play movies and the Purge movies and stuff like that because all my kids are teenagers now, except for the little ones. And once they're in bed, we can kind of open things up again. But yeah, it's fun to share movies with your kids, and I always appreciate kids stuff that is actually entertaining for adults too, like that's made for kids.
All right, I have to ask a question because I don't understand it. Do you guys watch Bluey?
That's exactly what I was about to say. My kids will watch Bluey and they'll walk out of the room and I'll just keep on watching it.
Okay.
Like it's a good show.
I don't have kids that young anymore, but I'm very intrigued.
It's a solid little show. Like it's cute. Like
Cody, you made a
family
face.
lessons and stuff.
You made a face. Are you not a fan of Bluey?
It's fun. Well, my kids love it. My husband loves it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just okay.
That's cool. When my daughter is young, we always try to find those like common grounds. And there's a great show called Cat Scratch, which had like 2 seasons. There's a season where the kind of the wacky cat thinks he's evil because he's shedding. So he creates this whole like evil, sinister mansion, and they go to his house, and the doorman says welcome. And then he gives him a tour of the house. He goes, "This is the acid bath. I got it at a yard sale." And it was like my wife and I just love that show, and you can't find it fucking anywhere. So maybe it's a fever dream. I don't know. But my daughter loved Courage, the Cowardly Dog growing up.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
Which was basically like a dystopian nightmare. And now she makes me take her see movies like Midsummer, which you should never take your child to go see. No matter how old they are. My daughter's 20 now. I had her when I was real young.
Okay.
But so we saw Midsummer a couple years ago, and I was not prepared for that forced sex scene.
Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And we're leaving the movie theater, and she goes like, she tells me, she goes, "Do you know how awkward it is to watch that scene with your dad?" I said, "It's about as awkward it is to watch that scene with your daughter." But it's cool because she fell in love with the genre, and it's kind of fun now because this is how I know I did okay as a parent, because she wanted to go move out on her own, and she's super excited about it because she knows she has a place she can always come back to if she needs to. And then just the other week I was out of town for work. She texted me, she goes, "Can I come over tonight? I'm just bored. I want to hang out." And I was like, well, like I'm in Virginia. She goes, "When are you home, Friday?" She goes, "Yeah, I'll come over on Friday." I was like, cool. So she came on Friday, made some burgers, watch some horror movies, and it's just that's when you know you did okay. I don't know if I did great. I'm not gonna say I did great because I think our goal is to fuck our kids up less than our parents fucked us up. And I mean that in the most like endearing way possible, in that we're gonna find out that we did stuff wrong, right? Like in the future, we're like, oh shit, that time I told them to eat cereal and they didn't want to eat cereal, and I kind of made them eat the cereal. God, what did I do? But I think the idea is though, but also to be okay as a parent, to know that you made those mistakes, and be okay if your kid wants to go to therapy and fix those mistakes. Like that's I think all that's tied together. But I know I did okay, and my kid wants to come over and eat hamburgers and watch horror movies with me, so yeah, I'll take it.
That's about as much as you can ask for in life.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna I'm not throwing on Midsummer ever again.
It's a one-time family movie night.
We also, I think 2 days later, we saw It Chapter 2, and that was almost worse, just because that movie fucking sucked and it was 2.5 hours long. At least Midsummer, for a 3-hour movie in the theater, it was good.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up another episode. Cody, thank you for joining us.
Tell
us again where people can find you.
Thank you so much for having me. So my website, my blog is codyloveshorror.com, but mostly I'm posting on Instagram at Cody Loves Horror.
That's Cody with a C.
Yes, CODYLOVESHORROR.
We'll make sure we link you to in the episode description.
Thank you. I appreciate
Are,
that.
are you going to like CreepyCon or any other conventions coming up?
I don't have a lot of free time outside
Yeah.
of all of my parenting duties. I would love to, but I kind of have to plan something like that last minute. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I would love to.
All right. Well, next week we're diving back into the crypt with a special episode, so be sure to tune in. We
And real
appreciate-
fast, if you are a Patreon, you will have
yeah.
on
Oh,
your
go ahead.
feed our good friend Andy from Australia and myself did a post WWE Royal Rumble recap last night, which will be up for our Patreon subscribers. But by the time you hear this episode, it'll be up for you guys. So I hope some of you like pro wrestling. If not, then I'll still talk about it. So it's fine.
Great. Thank you for that. All right.
You're welcome.
We'd also appreciate it if you give us a rating review on iTunes or rating on Spotify. Check out our Patreon for bonus content. Also, check out our YouTube channel for more videos of these podcasts. And with that, we thank you for listening to Dads from the Crypt.
Adios. Except Glenn
Guys.
Jacobs.
Follow Dads from the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.